Shauna, if we can, let's start off by talking to you about what got you into the oil and gas industry. If you can talk to us about what motivated you to get into it and what keeps you here.
Well, I did not come into the oil and gas industry direct.
Okay.
My family actually wanted a doctor.
Oh.
And I actually started in pre-med. But when I saw not only what the engineers were studying, but the petroleum engineers with the geology, which is what I grew up loving, I knew that was the avenue and the career for me. So that's how I got into the oil and gas industry.
Interesting there. Can you talk to us now about your day-to-day? What do you do in your day-to-day role? You have a few different roles, though, we know.
Well, things have been really changed up for this year because in October of 2019, I took over as the SBE president for Society of Petroleum Engineers. And that's pretty much a full-time job, as I'm on the road 3 weeks out of every month.
Wow.
But still making sure I'm at least home 1 week because I have a daughter that's still in high school when she graduates. So I still need to have some FaceTime with her.
Absolutely. I still have to be home for a little bit of that check-in, right? How do you really balance all of that? Can you give us any advice on balancing those roles?
It's an ongoing learning process because I don't have any recent role models to emulate. It's a lot of feedback between my daughters letting me know when they feel that I'm not giving them the attention, as well as too, I have surrounded myself with a great support staff, not only on the SBE side, but also with my employer in Oxy. So they're helping me with those checks and balances. But it is overwhelming, but trust me, I knew this when I started, and I would not have taken on this role if I didn't think I'd be able to handle it.
If you know that you can balance it out, you just have to do it day by day, like you mentioned.
Day by day, and realizing that a pursuit of perfection in all avenues is not reasonable, and it's just a little give and take.
I love that. Good advice there. How important is the Society of Petroleum Engineers and the work done through that organization? If you can just take a little bit of time to talk about that.
I'll give two different perspectives. One is my personal, in the fact that I would not have had the career that I did. And when I mean that I did, not only all the international exposure, but all the roles and job opportunities, none of it would have happened without all my involvement within SBE. Just not because of the network, but also all the skills that I got to develop: leadership, soft skills, technical. And then stepping outside for myself, just as a member, being a part of SBE is allowing members to be part of something bigger, something beyond worrying about generating cash flow for their money or shareholder returns. We can actually make an impact and influence the industry, whether it's being strategic and proactive with the type of knowledge that we're trying to collect and disseminate, or being able to have a voice on industry panels such as the National Energy Board or even the World Economic Forum.
Good information there as well. Can you talk to us a little bit about your biggest challenge or risk as a woman in the industry?
Biggest challenge, to be honest, is still figuring out how to be a working mom. When I actually started too out in the field, working the rigs in Northern Canada, and I never felt that I had challenges with me as a woman, other than sometimes the work environment around me wasn't actually stellar for a woman.
Yeah.
But it was really when my children were younger. And again, having that thought that you had to be the perfect mom, the perfect career, person, and figuring out those balances. And thankfully, I had very supportive managers, and those managers were men. But they knew how to help me and support me, so I could have some level of sanity and still a good career at the same time.
That's really great to hear. And advice for younger professionals and younger working women. You kind of went into that, of course, as trying to balance it all, but can you share with us any advice that you have?
What I would say is, what I actually still do tell them is, my career path was a little different because the industry has changed. Because of digitization, we're able to work from home a lot easier and not necessarily have to travel through virtual reality or some really neat digital concepts. And also, too, the soft skills are so much more important. And I think as a young professional who now has spent a lot of time looking at a screen instead of looking at a face, most of the advice I have is really start to hone those soft and communication skills, because when I started, I had time to make decisions because most of my data was historical. And now data's coming fast. It's coming real time. And you have to make those, not only those decisions fast, but you have to communicate your recommendations on those decisions very effectively, and that takes some skill.
It's good advice there as well. What about mentors? Do you have any advice, or do you think mentors are really important for women, or really men as well, in the industry?
I actually dedicated my February column in the Journal of Petroleum Technology on mentoring, the importance, and I talked about how I still have a need for mentors, as well as I've really realized the significant contribution I have, well, to mentor others. And I'm actually been actively mentoring a young engineer in Moscow. I'm doing one in Aberdeen, throughout the world, and I'm actually seeing a sense of purpose in the fact that I'm actually able to help them, and I'm really kicking myself that I did not reach out years ago to start doing this. At the same time, in my role as SBE president and kind of where I want to go on my next career step, I'm now seeking out those mentors to guide me and give me the constructive criticism that I need as well. So hands down, mentorship, whether you're mentoring somebody or you're being mentored, it's so critical.
Very important. Thank you for that. And Shauna, what does being chosen as one of the 25 influential women in energy mean to you? And secondly, how important do you think are organizations, or really programs rather, like this?
Well, first of all, I'm very humbled to have been included in this group, because I know who the recipients were in the past. And then when I got to look at the slate of the other 24 women, one, I was excited to see that I knew several of them through my career, but again, it was so impressed to be included with such a group. And programs such as this are just important because we need to be visible. I spent most of my career being the only woman in the room.
Wow.
Or the only woman, especially working out in the field, within like several mile radius. And it's so good now to get these accomplished group of women together, so we're visible not only to the other engineers in our industry to say, look at this body of work, this group of women, but because this is also made public outside our industry, we're able to show it to all those ones considering to come in, or even further, even into like the elementary school, so they can see a lot of women faces in oil and gas.
Absolutely. Well, we definitely appreciate you joining us, and congratulations on this well-deserved honor, Shauna.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And for Heart Energy, I'm Jessica Morales.